the voice of Chester.
Yo, you are officially tuned in to cmpradio.net. You have your favorite host, Joshua Shockley here. And of course, as promised, I have our next state representative, Carol Kazeem. How are you?
Good evening, everybody. Good evening,
Yes,
Josh.
this is truly an honor and a pleasure to have you here and to be able to sit down with you and not just do an interview, but do a live interview.
I appreciate you just for having me, honestly.
Yep, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be able to sit down. And I want people to know that before I started to tell her what questions we was going to ask, and she literally like, no, let's just go. Ask me anything. I'm always going to be honest. So for me, that really touched my heart. Just as a voter, as somebody from the city, that was really dope. So I look forward to diving right into the interview.
Of course, me
and,
too.
And let's see what our next state representative have to say. But before we get started, as you know, one thing that I'm big at on WWJD, which airs tonight at 7 p.m. right here on cmpradio.net, is we like giving out our flowers to those who come on to the show. And normally it's in the form of verbal flowers, just bigging up. But today, because this is our next state representative, and because we speak it into existence, I wanted to hand you these personally. Aww. These are your flowers.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
I had a long day today.
Yes.
Right on time. Thank you. This is beautiful.
Yep.
I really appreciate.
So normally on my show, I do a word of the week.
Okay.
And the word for this segment is going to be community.
Okay.
The definition of community is a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests in goals. So just starting out, what does community mean to you?
Unity. It means family, friendship. It really just means, the people, my people. So when I look at community, I think about the demographics also, on how I grew up, where I was raised, the environment, and I really take the good and the bad, and I put that together, and to me, that's really community. It's the uprising and also like our downfalls, but I know together as a community, we definitely unite and we are a family. So community is definitely family for me.
And you said something really important, the good and the bad.
Yes.
Because any inner city in the world is broken.
Yes, it is.
How broken is it? That's up to the community and how hard we work together as a community to bring it back together. Right. But every inner city is broken. So it's really good to hear you say that. Look, we got to take the good with the bad too, because we have some bad, and if we don't recognize that bad, then we can't fix it. The first step to correcting any problem is recognizing that we have one.
Absolutely.
Tell us about who you were as a kid. Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in the city of Chester. I think as a kid, I was always, I was a very friendly person, still is to this day. Very social, kind of maybe help a few people, depending, who, what. I felt like as I became a little bit more into my teens, I got in a lot of fights then. And I was that kid that always dealt with a lot of trauma as well. So in my own household, with things that I was going through, that contributed more into, my childhood, running the streets, and also in school. So, of course, I got kicked out of middle school, and I had to go to another school outside of Chester Upland. But it definitely was an eye-awakener for me. And I can honestly say that I grew a lot, just having that consistency and guidance that I probably didn't get at the time. It just really took that one person. So I ended up, growing into that, but at the same time, kind of still had some habits, looking for love at the wrong places. I ended up as a teen mom. I'm still grateful. That's one of my biggest accomplishments because, I graduated and I promised myself I was going to do that and still go to secondary school at periods in time. Yeah, so, and just make sure that if anything I could do was protect, my child and, provide for her as well and just do the best that I can and do more than what I've experienced myself. So.
And that's dope. You brought up a really important fact. One of the things that I always point out on my show, I'm super big on not bashing the parents, especially the parents in our era, because we come from that era of babies having babies.
Right. And I was one.
Yep. And speaking to that and knowing that we come from that and knowing that alone is a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you see yourself putting in place for us as a community to bring back that educational base, for those parents that genuinely just don't know?
I think for me, just speaking through like my own experience and what I think helped me is, for one, I don't really see too many schools have any more sex education. And as I was coming out of high school, it was like we still had it, but not really. So I felt like when I was younger, especially in middle school, I felt like we had it more like thrown at us bluntly.
Yeah.
Where as time went on, I just kind of like didn't really care because it wasn't really taught to us as much or acknowledged as much. Another thing is even when we had parenting kind of classes, what was the classes called? Early childhood. A lot of that's no longer around. Just being able to teach us into that as well and being able to teach us like, hey, the goods of let's go more into a career with it, but let's not say that we want to expand on teen pregnancy.
Absolutely.
But we can start to learn how to take care of children like pre-K and the babies as an early childhood.
Making it educational based and not promotional based.
Right, and learning too the children, because I felt like when I did have those little bit of classes, I was able to understand the emotional parts of, raising a child and also the certain things that may be good for a child, not good for a child. Those type of like teachings that were in place, I was able to take that still because I remember having those classes as electives. Another thing is financial literacy. I think that's very big because when I was a teen mom, a lot of times I just thought like go out and work. I had to provide, but I didn't manage. I wasn't taught that. So I felt like once I was put in that position to learn financial literacy and kind of understand around like budgeting and management, understanding too, and the reason why I bring that up is because I saw what was around me was, and there's nothing wrong with it, but what was exposed to me was it was fine to just go ahead and stay on the welfare.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? And it was not okay. It's okay to use it to go ahead and get yourself through, to get you by, because I've had to get on it. But then it was like, how do I put myself out of poverty? And I'm not saying I'm rich right now, but how do I put myself in a different mindset to be able to budget and manage so I'm not finding myself back out of a house, or I'm not finding myself where I'm looking for money again for food when the government just gave me something, So just being able to like manage and really like get myself mentally in a different, different mentality, I felt like that would help a lot. So definitely financial literacy, definitely education, I feel like, and also for young parents going back to school. I feel like being able to have more colleges and resources come back to support many young mothers, because I know there's a lot of night school. Remember, they used to have the alternative school. Even when you got pregnant, you went there. They don't have that really no more. So I feel like that's something that can help us, where we can have some type of secondary training or some type of classes that come by to help young mothers or even young fathers be able to help them, get back in school. There's a lot of men raising children too.
It's a lot of them.
There's definitely a lot of them, more than I've even actually seen growing up.
You said, you spoke about something that's really important. So I told you before the show started that I co-host another show that's officially coming to CMP Radio with Dr. Ja, called Out in the Open with Dr. Ja. And we two different shows, both half-an-hour segments. One is on mental health in regards to the community, and the other one is just sexual health and having uncomfortable conversations.
Yes.
Knowing that mental health, I'm super big on mental health on my show. I talk about it every single week. Again, I co-host a show with a psychopsychiatrist, so she's constantly in my ear. What are some of your goals to tackle that taboo topic in our community? Because we were raised, don't say nothing and then outside of this house. What happened in this house stays in this house. But in that within that, caused a lot of trauma. We had a lot of trauma that wasn't talked about, a lot of mental health in our households that wasn't talked about. What are some of your plans moving forward, once you're in the position to bring back mental health back into the community and to make it more relevant than what it is?
So right now, I have been talking with the county about bringing back more local resources and local organizations that would be here, even though I do know we do have local community, organizations that focus a little bit around mental health, but in different ways. But I would like to have definitely a hub here. So that is kind of more of my focus. And one of the things that you brought up was just even that piece of the mental health, because growing up under trauma, me raising a child, I still had things that I didn't understand, that I realized that I was yet not healed. I just learned to look away and move on from it. So I had to go back and get support as an adult. So first and foremost, just me being a gun violence interrupter and also trauma outreach worker, I do go around and I make the awareness for many people in our community to get them to understand that it's okay to seek help. And I tell them, it's not more so like saying you're crazy or you getting help, but I tell them it's part of healing.
Absolutely.
So that's what I, usually tell them when I'm out there, and I explain to them my own experience that, it took me years to go back, but it helped me a lot with my parenting. And a lot of times I try to sit down with them and understand what their barriers are as well, and try to see like what happened with them, and, ask them, is this what, we want to continue on for our kids? A lot of parents don't want that.
Absolutely.
So it's just more so like trying to get proper help, not for our children, but also for our parents, or even just our neighbors and friends that are around. Because even with our children, when they're still going out the door, they still see the neighbor down the street still performing different acts that they still watch and do. So I feel like as a community, if we can start healing, and part of that is, for one, us coming in and doing that with them. So one of the things I was talking to the county is that I want to start seeing them actually offer those type of jobs to community individuals that I know are very well educated and even interested in those type of things. And for those that aren't educated on it, I would love to see more partnership where they're willing to at least sit down and help with training, different resources that can help them be able to get certified for this type of job. Because I feel like the more that we're aware and the more that we have knowledge behind it, the more that we would definitely do better to take care of ourselves. So those are like few of the things that I would like to start pushing forward around that piece.
Absolutely. I want to take the time to really thank you for your service, because way before you was running for state representative, you were out here, boots on the ground. Like you said, gun violence interrupter, you're in the neighborhoods. We know you. Like you're really our community state representative. And it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
It's been a long, long time coming. We as a community deserve it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We deserve to have a state representative that we see, that we identify with. And not just because you're black, not just because you're a woman, because those things alone are phenomenal, right?
Right.
You say those two things, black woman, state representative, that alone is phenomenal. Right. So I don't want to take away from that. But just you being one of us, And like I said, not in terms of color, but right here from our city, because we got white people, black people, Chinese people, Japanese, all types of different people in our community from different ethnic backgrounds. So it's not about the race. I'm just happy to see somebody that we can identify with.
Absolutely.
Like that's Carol Kazeem that we know that have been in our neighborhoods. That's Carol Kazeem that we know that talk to our children, that then save lives verbally just by giving advice. So thank you so much for your service. I just wanted to take the time out to say that.
Thank you.
What are some of the things that, well, let me ask you this. What was that breaking point for you? What was the time in your life that you decided, I'm done with the fighting. I'm done with the fighting against myself. I'm done with all the negative stuff. What was the breaking point for you?
Definitely me having a daughter. And then second, I just got tired of suffering. You know, it's like a silent suffer. So it was just one of those where it was like I just couldn't take it anymore. You know, it was like I had to get myself together. You know, and then once I promised myself, once I got myself together, to go back, you know, and help everybody else. So I did just that. You know, I came back, and I was still going through a lot when I came back to the city. But, you know, during those periods of time that I've been able to accomplish, you know, God definitely blessed me. People around me, family, friends, really played a factor in my life too. You know, I just said, you know what, after seeing all that I went through, the first thing I thought about was our system. Like it took me a while to kind of go back and retrace my steps and start back and say, well, when I was here, why was it like this? When I was here, why didn't I get this kind of help? When I was here, so for me, it's like something got to give, you know. Absolutely. And it's like if I did all of that and thought about, you know, the system that we in, and then seeing all the other individuals that came to me, just like I'm coming to them, passing out palm cards, and then it was like no consistency, or them just really getting funding behind it from the state but not really helping, and, you know, going to shelters and they telling you, oh, well, there's a waiting list, and it's like, well, where do you go with your kids? And then they're like, oh, well, we can call, you know, Department of Human Services, and, you know, they can put them somewhere until the time. And it's like, what? Like, no, by the time so just thinking about how it's like, no matter how much you try to do, it's still like, you know, we got this system that is yet not fully functioning and progressing to even get us in the path of where we're trying to go. So it definitely was just a breaker, because I was like, man, I had some good people that, you know, was definitely there in my corner that, you know, helped me. I don't care if it was 1 time, 2 seconds, every one of those seconds and minutes count, you know, and it put me somewhere, you know. So at some point, you know, I really took that to heat and really just didn't play on that, you know, and I really just said, you know, now is the time to no longer take it for granted. You know, you have to really do something, and then you got to really help the next young girl and next young, you know, men, and let them know, like, listen, I went through this, I went through that, but it's a way out. Absolutely. You know, so that was the main thing for me. It was like, it's definitely a way out. And once I got out, it was like, I'm staying out.
I think for me, what's so amazing is that, you know, just hearing your story and knowing my own testimony, it's hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard. That
Still
change
hard.
is hard. And you said something that, you know, you had to go heal first.
Yes.
We know in that healing process that we lose a lot of people that was close to us because we no longer indulge in that lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people that, you know, especially young bucks, like, yo, your friend will look you dead in the eye, right, and be like, yo, I'll die for you. Mm-hmm. Here's the crazy part. He means it. Mm-hmm. If something was to happen right then and there, he would jump in front of the bullet, he'll die for you. Right. But will he live for you?
Right.
You know, and that's hard. Mm-hmm. It's hard to be able to get to that level because we have to separate ourselves. And I remember coming home, you know, it's like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, I just can't. It's not that I don't want to be, I don't like you, that we not cool no more. But my mental health, my future, it means more to me than what you think about me.
All right.
So just big ups to you for like fighting through that. Who were some of the main people in your life that influenced you to keep going?
Definitely my sisters, Mom Dukes. You know, I can honestly say I have about 2-3 best friends that definitely pushed me through. My kids, most and foremost, and definitely my husband. You know, I can honestly say, and throughout this entire movement, you know, the entire campaign team, definitely, you know, hands down be giving a lot of encouragement, even when I have some family members or some friends, like you said, it's just that may not understand, you know. So I can definitely say, but my biggest influence, my daughter, my oldest, the one I had as a teenager, because I remember having that moment saying, I don't know if I was even going to live past 18.
Wow.
And, you know, I was like, I have to because of her. So I felt like everything that I went through, she was there. She might have not went through it literally with me because I was the young adult kind of pushing through. So she may be, but she still was going through it with me because she was in certain situations when I was going through it. So I can honestly say that was my biggest motivation to keep pushing, you know. And then definitely, you know, like I said, my sister's been always there, you know, even through our ups and downs, you know, even through our moments. But, you know, I really appreciate everybody that has came a part of my life. And during my high school year, that one person that I actually said that took the time, you know, to actually invest in me was a guidance counselor. So from now to forever, to God called me home, you know, that's one person I will never forget. I still send her cards. You know, she live out in New Jersey. One time I popped up on her and I haven't seen her maybe like 13 years. So she was really shocked to see me, you know, but, you know, she was that person. So I'm a very big advocate about having quality guidance counselors in place because she just didn't say, oh, well, you're not here on time. She really took the time to figure out why I wasn't coming on time, what was going on. She was the first person I told when I found out I was pregnant.
Wow.
And I was scared to death. So she was like, well, we're going to have to figure something out here. You know, when even with that, she was like, well, what you plan on doing? You know, dropping out or because there was other friends of mine that did when they also got pregnant. I'm just like, I don't know if that's an option. She was like, it's not, you know. So we definitely pushed it forward and she put a portfolio together and gave me a binder and she gave me all my options and told me because I was accepted to different colleges at the time. I just couldn't go because I had a daughter. So they wasn't allowing me to stay in a dorm with her. So she definitely gave me other alternatives. And, you know, then she was like, now you out in the real world on your own. So I remember walking in Delaware Community College the first time and I was like, uh-oh, where I'm going. So I definitely give the most bigs up to her because she was there before I got pregnant, during the time, and after I even came to the hospital.
And big ups to all our guidance counselors and our educators and our mentors and stuff that's working in the schools and because it's work. And we live in a different era. Our kids are different.
Right.
So it's even more it's more harder than it was today than it was back then.
But I want also a lot of the teachers and guidance counselors and educators to understand. That's why I'm very big with advocating around our school district because my healing started from there. You get what I'm saying? Like my healing, I had to take the time to go on my own independently, but it started from there. When I really think about it now, it started from there. You know, it took that one person to sit me down, put me in a mediation group, put me in therapy. She was actually the first one that started me up and said, well, legally, even if your family don't want to support you and do this and do that, you have the right at this age to walk in and get you the help. It's up to you to make the choice. Wow. So by her actually starting that process, when I went back as an adult to go back to counseling, I went back to the same place she put me as a young teen. So just thinking about that and them being like, oh, we haven't seen you in years. You're coming back because I stopped. You know, so it was like, because you have your moments where you're just in, out. But I was like, I got to do it. You know, she already pushed me through. And then by years later on, you know, my daughter's about 3, 4. I'm like, I have to go back. So, you know, I can definitely say that the healing started from there because she still exposed me to it and gave me that opportunity to see more opportunities. So a lot of times, you know, that's just words of encouragement for our educators that even when they do feel like they're in a position like, you know what, these kids don't care. They're not hearing it. It don't matter. It's too much. We're becoming mental health workers and I understand the pressure because it is a lot. So they do deserve, you know, to have more to support them as well in classroom setting. But I want them to understand that moment that you are doing that when you think the child's not listening because they thought I wasn't, you know, you really help the child in the same time. We may not get it then and there, but believe me, you will save a life. And, you know, that educator did just that for me. So that's why no matter what she needs, she knows I'm one phone call away. I will drop everything. So you'll be very surprised how much influence you could put on a child by just doing that. That's why I don't take it for granted. That's why I try to explain to our educators, if you're really not genuine or really not there with it to do it, then you have to step away because you really bring the trauma in a child because it's first
one of my greatest pet peeves.
Yep. Well, that's where you know they say it's either church, school, and home.
Yep.
That's the 3 places socially a child starts to learn and gets all of that. So it's like if you fail on all 3, come on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then in school most of the time. So it's like I get it, but to some degree, something got to give. We got to help in one aspect. So
I'm big on education. Period. I always tell the young people, it's the one thing in this world that can nobody take from you.
absolutely.
Is what you know.
Yep.
Somebody could come up and rob you, and look, I could tell you, give me all you know. I could tell you it's still mine though.
Right.
It's still with me.
Right.
You can't take it from me, and it's the most powerful thing that you could possess.
Yes.
What you know. So I'm super excited, that you're in this position because we need it. Educators need it. I was just teaching in the after school programs. I was just the lead youth development specialist and training the mentors and stuff like that. So I know personally what that's like, and I know personally how much those babies that come into that classroom that's looking for us.
Yep.
That's looking for that guidance, that's looking for that dad, that's looking for that mom, that's looking for that extra person just to say, I got you.
Right.
And it's a way that we're going to get around this and we're going to work through this. So, again, that's just amazing. It's just another testament why we should definitely get out there and be voting.
Most definitely.
What are some of the things that you inherited from your childhood that you still use today, moving forward and becoming the next state representative?
I think I was always a considerate person. So I think sympathizing, empathizing has always been a big thing for me. Even when I was on my lowest, I've always tried to sympathize and empathize for everyone else around me. So I think taking that from my childhood up until now, it's like I believe it still carries me on. And, just definitely sitting in a position that we are in now, I'm thinking about how much that really does play a factor when you are trying to lead or sit in an official seat, no matter which way you do it. But definitely sympathizing and empathizing has been my biggest keys that I know, a lot of people have known me to, be.
But it shows, you just being present. We've been bombarded with politicians who come for votes and then we don't see them.
Right.
Who come for votes and then we looking like, well, what did you really do in the community?
Right.
And nobody can really trace it back.
Right.
Again, it's a pleasure and an honor to be able to sit down with you and know that, we know you.
Absolutely.
We know you, we see you, we can identify with you, we could talk to you, we could see you at Sam's at the market,
Right.
we could catch you.
Yeah.
Like we
I've
can
been seeing
see
everybody at shop right in
dropping the
different
kids
places.
off to school,
Right.
and we see you. So I would definitely say, as a community activist and a leader in the community myself, keep that up. Don't lose that.
I appreciate it.
Don't, because you're gonna get busy.
It's
Without a
definitely,
doubt.
I'm already busy now.
Yeah,
I'm already busy now.
you're going to be even more busy.
Right.
Just know that you have genuine support out here and you have genuine people that we want to see you succeed. And I speak personally for myself first and foremost. And I know most of the people that I talk to, everybody, and I told you this that before the show, normally you run into people and you ask questions, because that's the interview. I'm asking, hey, what do you know about it? Nobody said anything bad about you.
I appreciate it.
And that's honest. Like nobody that I ran into said anything bad about you. And that really spoke volumes to me. Not just as somebody as in the community, but as a voter. Right. Because we want to know these things. So again, this is major. That you showing up here, us being able to have this live conversation and to be able to talk. Big shout out to all the people that's tuned in, and I want to be able to answer some of these questions as well. You got Dr. Margot Lewis, Josh. She said Ms. Kazeem mentioned that she experienced some trauma. What is her thoughts on mental health and addressing some of the issues? I think you did answer that.
Yes.
Please provide her with my information. I would love to assist her with this project as Synergy CPP has plans to come back to work within the community.
Okay.
So,
absolutely.
yep, big shout out to Dr. Margot Lewis Ja.
Okay. Thank you, Doc.
Yep. So,
And that's one of my lovely dearest sisters. She's a part of our movement, the campaign.
Angela.
Yes.
Yes,
so
Angela Freeborn. How are
tagging
you?
in some,
Thank you.
Yep, she's tagging in ways that you can visit our website to either learn more about our movement and even become involved in any upcoming events. There are people that actually send me events too that they actually are having, or even if they want support or sponsorship, they will send it to my website. There's a way you can do contact us. So it'll come either to the email or they message me to directly. So that's always open. You know, as much as we could try to extend ourselves, you know, we'll try the best that we can. You know, we can't, and I'm gonna be honest, I never tell people promise, but I always try to do the best that I can do and just make sure that we definitely are there. And also, I know you said something about I'm going to get really busy, but that's why we're going to be really, really on the ground. But not only that, the team that we build. So it's really important that even when I'm not present, you know, I have a phenomenal staff and, you know, team and friends and family that are definitely there to support, and would love to bring you on. P already, even P. Hi, P. So P is a part.
Shout
I know
out
I
to
call
Pierre,
him.
one of
You
the
know,
hardest
shout out
working
definitely CMP Radio.
Yeah.
So, you know, we definitely are going to make sure that, you know, as much as we can come together in unity to really, you know, stand together in different ways. You know, that's the biggest info for me. Like one of the things that I've been doing now is doing my wish list. So even though some of the other legislators is like, what is this? I'm like, my wish list. They like, child, who said you coming in here about to get all of this? So I'm like, well, somebody better figure this out and put this wish list together for me. But I have that wish list that focuses on different organizations around our community. But the reason why I put it together is because we have many underdogs, and I call them underdogs because they really are like out there beasts, you know, hitting the streets, but they are like unsung. You know, they don't really be looked at. They're the ones that are like kind of kept under. It's about who you are or who you know. And I kind of want to really break that chain because everybody deserves the opportunity. We have too many great talents.
So dope to hear you say that.
Yeah, like we have so many great talent. We have so many great things going on that I feel like it's too many of us right now that don't have the help that I know the help is there. You get what I'm saying? Like we need more, but we still have some help there that we should be able to utilize, but it's not there. But then the problem is too that the help that is there, even by the time they even stretch out and branch out, it's only but so much they can take in. So it's like we still need more for the kind of healing and the kind of resources and the kind of things that we need here. But I know that we have too much going on for us to not be literally where we at, you know. And I say that because like one of the things like y'all seen the market in North Philly get put up, you know, me and Malcolm Kenyatta have been talking actually for a while, you know, during even my problem, like about having to bring these things into our community. And, you know, me and him will talk about that and he'll say, man, I don't know. I'm thinking I might have to branch out. And I'll say, no, find someone there. Someone there know about management. Someone went to school for something. Yeah. And he did. He found the black young guy. They was able to open it up and he opened up all them jobs, you know, with like a market, you know, like we have to do it. It's definitely something you have to take each step at a time, so it's not going to just happen overnight. But Josh, believe me when I say I know we can do it.
Absolutely.
You know, I know we
have
can do
all
it.
the right pieces. We was just talking about before we went
We're
on.
going to need some more right pieces. Yep. That is.
So please, you heard it here first from our next state representative. We need more pieces. Please inbox me.
Yes.
Inbox the team. Let us know what you want to do, what your wish list is, and any way that we can help you as leaders in the community. Let's get together and really do this.
Absolutely.
And just speaking about your wish list, one thing that it made me think of was my aunt Patricia Lois West. And I remember years ago, she liberated me with one statement. She said, Josh, the worst thing they could say is no.
Right. Right.
You know, a lot of times we come, oh, man, they're not going to give me that job. I got a record. Right. The worst thing you could say is no. And if you say no, okay, I was already in the position that I was in anyway.
Right.
But the best thing that you could say to me is yes. And after everything we've been through, if no is the worst thing you can say to me,
right.
hey, I'm trying all day long.
Right.
And, you know, I wanted to go back, you know, because as the beautiful black queen you are, you mentioned your husband. Yes. And I know for a fact that we don't get to these levels
Right.
you know, having spouses in our life that's not compatible with us
Right.
and that doesn't push us and drive. So big shout out to your husband.
Yes, absolutely.
How influential has he been in that process?
Very, because he helps a lot, especially around, home. I know people may say, oh, well, she's a woman, because back then we still have that same mindset that a woman's home, the man's working. Believe me, he's working.
Yeah.
So that ain't changing. But definitely, just tag teaming with me on the kids. Times that I know I can't be on time to grab, and he's still making sure he do that. If I might have to be home a little late, he may just go ahead and rock out. But I still try to make sure, as a wife and mother, any little time that I can take, to use that for them. I really don't care about walking 10, 11 o'clock at night. More than likely, I'm still going to talk just to hear how his day going, So I just try to make sure that those times that, are really precious to us, we just make sure it's still valuable, because you really don't get that back. But for me, I can definitely say very influential. Even when I'm feeling down, you always encourage me, Carol, keep going, keep going, keep going. You're going to be all right. And there's times, too, even he get mad when I'm feeling like, oh, this ain't going to work. He be like, you sitting up here saying this ain't going to work. You done did this, did that, So, but I can honestly say that even if I feel like he's not someone that's so into politics, because he's not, I know that he's still willing to hear, because he knows how important it is. And not only that, I feel like even with me not really being too much in politics, but really stepping and saying this is what I'm going to do, he's kind of now been trying to open up and see what's what, One of the things me and him laughed about, the honest truth is he's an independent. So when it was come down to my primary, I'm like, bro, you can't even vote for me. So, so he was like, what you mean I can't vote for you? What? So he's like, oh, that's BS, man. Who started this law and all of this stuff? So I said, well, he was like, I don't want to be a part of nobody's party, So his ways started coming down. It's like, and he was like, oh, you know what? So then he started thinking, he was like, well, because you are running, and if there was another candidate, even if it wasn't you, that I felt like was very influential, then yes, I would do that. So it was just kind of more like sitting down, talking to him. And another thing, having him as a partner help is that he has been, in a community where he's seen a lot of trauma, violence, been someone that probably haven't done the best of all best and probably made a lot of mistakes. And him just talking to me from like a brother standpoint, that male standpoint, and then also a father standpoint. I didn't really have that growing up.
And that's dope that y'all had that connection.
So being able to talk to him,
and that friendship, that foundation, that communication piece. We literally was just talking about this earlier, that, communication, and people see it on the show or out and open with Dr. Jabba. We were talking about, communication is the foundation to any relationship.
It is.
So it's really dope that y'all have that communication. Big ups to you and your husband.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming to an end, 3 main things that you want to walk away with as state bill representative. What are those 3 things that, I'm hitting the ground running, and these are the 3 things that I'm concentrating on
right now.
And just 3. I know you have a whole wish list, but if you could narrow it down
right
to
now,
3
or
things,
if let's say we spoke it in existence, and
we're going to speak it into existence.
Okay.
We're speaking into existence. You're a state rep. What are the first 3 things that we can expect you to do going into office?
So much in this city.
I know.
Honestly, even through the district, but if I was to say primarily here, our schools is definitely one.
Mm-hmm.
Around our children. And I'm going to just say children, whether that has to do with school, the gun violence, the substance abuse.
Our future.
I feel like that piece alone that's one. I think jobs is another for me. Having more commercial businesses around here that are more like, for residents as well, expanding on entrepreneurship, that's so that job piece, whether it comes down to business, whether it comes down to bringing in more marketing for jobs here.
And that's all a part of the
but it's like a black
literacy.
directory, for us as well too. And honestly, more. So that's another one. And definitely our seniors. I feel like that's another focus of mine. I've been actually just came from, assisting another senior. I feel like we have too much going on for our seniors that are not getting it in our community. It's too many of them that still have homes. There's too many of them living in affordable homes, but it's not quality looking. You know, we are allowing people to come in and buy it out that might live in Cali, Florida, that don't even step their foot a day in. And that, and along with the houses here for other individuals, I really want to start seeing more like, you know, affordable rates and also like affordable homes where we keep going the path of home ownership. You know, I really want to start seeing that expanding. So definitely jobs, housing, you know, and definitely our children.
Thank you so much. One of my slogans for WWJD and I've been posting every day is change you can see. Hashtag change you can see.
Absolutely.
You are change we can see. I am honored to be able to sit down with you. I had a ball. This was a pleasure.
I'm honored to be here, and you just invite me. I really appreciate it.
I look forward to working with you, seeing you out in the community. Anything that you need help with, feel free to call me.
Absolutely.
Let me know. I'll be there in a heartbeat. For our community, please get out there and vote.
November 8th.
November 8th.
And we definitely need volunteers.
Yep.
Still need volunteers, so please visit our website that's in the link. And definitely just, you know, please come out, canvas. You know, we started yesterday. We'll be out tomorrow at 5:30 at Upper Chichester Library. If you feel like that's far, please stay tuned because next week we'll be back again in the city canvassing. So we usually try to talk to residents, try to let them know about voting. We also try to encourage them to come out. And most of the biggest thing that's very important with our particular movement is education. So one of the things that anyone that's a part of my particular team, even core team, could honestly tell you, like, one of the things that we've been big on is educating. I do not like going out telling any young people or anyone to go out and vote without educating them on why they should even vote for me.
Absolutely.
And then secondly, I want them to understand why it's important for them to come out and vote. So although we may still, like I said, we have our good and we have our bad. It may not always be peaches and cream, but I want people to understand that if you care about yourself that much, you really need to care about the things that go on around you. So you have to care about what's going on in your life. Absolutely. So everything that has to do with our legislators, everything that has to do with the legislation, and everything that has to do with the bills, policies, our court system, our juvenile system, even when you're looking at me talking about the houses and the jobs, everything that has to do with this chain we call system in different departments that has to contribute into your life and the way things are moving for you has to deal with who sits there. So absolutely. I want people to understand that you really have to take that serious and know that if I want to see this happen, I have to be mindful and careful of who I put in there. We can no longer go by who knows, who's popular, who's that, and I'm just being as blunt and honest as I could be and as thorough because we have to stop that. Absolutely. I did it. That's why I'm saying it. So, absolutely. And that didn't get me nowhere. That didn't get us nowhere. So looking at where we was at in the city at a point in time where I could say we still had some things and seeing how we're like, left, you know, we need more than just the little pretty little sprinkles that we're getting. In that time, that's called tokenism. And one day we'll have another thing about tokenism. You don't know what it means? Google it. It's called tokenism. And you'll see what that is. We have been shortchanged for too long. We just been given little sprinkles from our own kin folks and from others that come out. So that's just the honest truth. A lot of people could take that very, you know, offensively or personally, but that's how I see it. And it shows, you know, absolutely. When I come out of my door, it shows. So therefore, we can no longer continue to allow ourselves to be subject to that or think that we're less than. You know, we deserve more, as you said, and we definitely deserve better. So please understand that you deserve better, and you have to take that with you every day that you wake up and every day that you go to sleep. And every time you walk out that door, just look at your surroundings and ask yourself, is this all that's okay for me? Am I just cool? And do I want it for my kids? Do I want this for my mother? Do I want it for my grandparents to continue to be around it? And just think about your own childhood. You know, absolutely. Is there things you feel that could be done different? So take that time and just invest in yourself, invest in your children, invest in our children, and just push us forward. You know, you absolutely. Can do that. So I just want people to understand that piece of it.
Again, community, you heard it here first. Please don't be a great complainer. Be a part of the change. Come out. If you're not registered to vote, get registered to vote. Let's go. Our next state representative, Carol Kazeem, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing y'all all tonight, 7 p.m. Tune in to WWJD. What would Josh do right here on CMPRadio.net. We'll see y'all later.
Thank you so much, Josh. And shout out to CMP Radio. Thank you once again.